Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going exploring the world of AI.
Ooh, fun.
Specifically, a company called DeepSeq.
Okay.
And they've been making some pretty big waves
What's quick?
with some claims about running large language models efficiently and profitably.
Right.
And our source material today is an article titled DeepSeq, Maximizing GPU Efficiency and Theoretical Revenue Analysis. And it was published just recently.
Cool.
So
Very relevant.
yeah, very relevant.
Yeah.
And DeepSeq has been generating some buzz online.
What have they been saying?
Well, particularly with this claim they've made of a 545% theoretical profit margin
Whoa.
on their models V3 and R1.
545%.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
It is a big number.
So what they're basically saying is for every dollar that they spend on all those powerful GPUs that are needed to run these models, they're theoretically making $5.45 back.
Yeah, so to back this up, they provided a detailed breakdown of their operations for a single day, the 27th.
Okay, let's hear about the 27th.
All right, so they shared some really big numbers.
Okay.
So they reported reaching a peak of 278 nodes in use, with an average of 226.75 nodes running throughout the day.
Okay, and remind me what each of these nodes has in terms of GPUs.
So each node is packed with 8 H800 GPUs.
Okay, so we're talking serious computing power here.
Yes, and these H800 GPUs are not cheap to rent.
No, they are not.
So if we just assume a standard rental rate of $2 per hour per H800,
Okay.
DeepSeek's GPU cost for that day would have been around $87,072.
Okay, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
But I guess they're saying it's dwarfed by their potential revenue.
Yeah, so how did they get to that staggering profit margin?
Yeah.
Well, they processed a massive amount of data that day.
How much are we talking?
608 billion input tokens.
Wow.
And generated 168 billion output tokens.
Okay, so they're just feeding this model tons and tons of information.
Right.
And it's generating outputs based on that.
Exactly. And so then by applying the API pricing for their R1 model, which I'm assuming is the more expensive of the two,
Probably, yeah.
to all of those process tokens, they arrive at a theoretical revenue of $562,027.
For that single day.
For that single day.
Oh, wow.
You subtract the GPU cost,
Okay.
and they're left with a profit of about $474,955.
Which translates to?
That 545.4% profit margin.
I see why this is making headlines.
Right.
Okay, so you keep saying the word theoretical.
Yeah.
What's the catch?
You're right to be cautious.
Okay.
Because that 545% figure relies on some assumptions that might not paint the whole picture.
Okay.
So remember, DeepSeq also has their own app.
Right.
And this app has been downloaded over 100 million times.
Oh, wow. Okay, so a lot of users
have
been using their models for free, essentially.
Exactly. So their revenue calculation assumes that all the traffic was paid, API usage, but it's very likely that it also includes significant free usage from their app. And also they used the pricing for the pricier R1 model for these calculations.
Okay.
While their cheaper V3 model was probably also used a lot that day.
Right. So there's some missing information, it sounds like.
Yeah.
About what the split was between paid and free and which models were used how much.
Exactly. DeepSeq acknowledges that the actual revenue is lower, but they haven't really clarified any of those specifics.
Okay. But even if the revenue's lower,
right,
those theoretical figures are still pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and it seems like the real story here isn't just about this impressive revenue.
Yeah. What is it about then?
I think it's about their innovative approach to maximizing efficiency.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that efficiency then.
Okay.
What are they doing?
So they've hinted at some techniques that they're using, specifically FP8 and MLA.
Okay. FP8 MLA.
Can you shed some light on those?
I can try. So these are pretty technical concepts, but essentially it's all about optimizing how AI models are processed at the hardware level.
Okay.
So FP8, for example, is a way of representing numbers that uses less memory and allows for faster calculations.
So they're finding ways to make these models run more efficiently on the GPUs?
Yeah, basically streamlining the process.
Okay.
And how about MLA?
MLA, that's a bit more advanced, but it's also geared towards speeding up computations and minimizing those periods when the GPUs are idle, just waiting for data.
So it's like eliminating downtime in a factory.
Exactly. You want those GPUs cranking away constantly without any interruptions.
Okay.
And that translates directly into lower operating costs and potentially higher profits.
This all seems so complex.
It is.
How did DeepSeek even come up with these innovations?
Well, they haven't revealed all the secrets yet,
Okay.
but they did share some insights during their open source week, which they held recently. It's clear that they've been focusing a lot of their energy on optimizing every single step of this process. It seems like their focus on efficiency is really shaking things up in the AI world.
It is.
I mean, some people online are even accusing other AI companies of overcharging or just lagging behind in terms of optimization.
Right. Are those accusations fair?
Well, it's a complex question.
Yeah.
I mean, DeepSeek's claims, if they're true, do suggest that it might be possible to run these large language models more efficiently than what we're currently seeing.
Right.
But there are a lot of factors involved here.
Yeah.
So it's really too early to say for sure whether other companies are intentionally keeping prices high.
Right.
Or if they just haven't reached this level of optimization yet.
Right. It's hard to know for sure. Yeah.
But there's no denying that DeepSeek is putting pressure on the entire industry to be more efficient and to be more transparent.
Absolutely. And that could ultimately benefit everyone involved.
Exactly. That's what's exciting about this.
Yeah. What are some of those potential benefits?
Well, for starters, greater efficiency could lead to lower costs for all those AI-powered products and services that we see.
Okay, so imagine like
AI writing assistants, translation tools, even personalized recommendations becoming cheaper and more accessible to everyone.
Yeah, okay. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
So if these companies can run these models more cheaply, then we could see those savings passed along to the consumer.
Yeah, what else?
Increased efficiency could also lead to a whole bunch of new AI applications.
Oh, yeah. How so?
So when the barriers to entry are lower, more people can experiment and develop these innovative tools.
Right.
And this could really be a game changer for all sorts of sectors.
Yeah.
From healthcare to education to entertainment and beyond.
So this is starting to feel like more than just a business story.
Definitely.
It sounds like DeepSeek's push for efficiency could change how we interact with and benefit from AI as a society.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating.
Yes.
We're not just looking at a company and their finances. We're potentially witnessing a shift in the entire AI landscape.
I'm totally hooked.
Me too.
What else did you find in the article about DeepSeek's approach?
So one of the key things that they emphasize is reducing what they call bubble time.
Bubble time.
Yeah, it refers to those periods
where
the GPUs are just sitting there waiting for data to be transferred or processed.
It's like downtime, essentially.
Exactly. And they've implemented some really innovative techniques to minimize this downtime.
Interesting. So how do they actually achieve that? Is it related to those FP8 and MLA techniques?
It is, yeah. Those techniques play a big role in optimizing data flow and processing.
It's
a little bit technical, but think of it this way. FP8 allows for faster calculations and faster data transfer, while MLA ensures that those calculations are happening in the most efficient sequence possible.
So they're removing bottlenecks?
Yeah, exactly. So instead of the GPUs just sitting there idle, waiting for the next piece of data to come through, they're constantly crunching through data.
Okay, so that constant activity leads to lower costs and potentially higher profits.
Exactly. And this focus on maximizing efficiency, I think, is what really sets DeepSeek apart. And has the potential to really shake up the AI industry.
And speaking of shaking things up, we were talking earlier about those online comments accusing other AI companies of overcharging or being inefficient. Do you think DeepSeek's approach sort of validates those criticisms?
Well, it's definitely raising some important questions about the way the industry is currently operating. If DeepSeek can achieve this level of efficiency, it suggests that maybe there's some room for improvement in how other companies are running their models.
So it's possible that existing pricing structures and practices might be due for a major overhaul.
It's possible. Yeah, especially if DeepSeek can maintain this level of efficiency as their operations grow.
As the demands increase.
Exactly.
But the potential is definitely there.
If it is.
And the pressure is on for other companies to step up their game.
For sure.
To be more transparent about their pricing. And to explore new ways of optimizing their operations.
It's like a race now. To see who can unlock the full potential of AI. Both in terms of its performance and its affordability.
And ultimately, that competition will benefit everyone involved.
Hopefully, leading
to more innovation and lower costs.
Imagine a world where these powerful AI tools are available not just to like big corporations, but to small businesses, startups, individual creators.
That's exciting.
It is. It's a very exciting vision.
But it also kind of makes you wonder about how all these advancements might impact the existing players in the market.
It does, yeah.
Like, what could those ripple effects be?
Well, DeepSeek's approach could potentially trigger a wave of new startups and applications as more people gain access to affordable and efficient AI tools.
Yeah.
And we might see a shift in the balance of power with established companies facing pressure to adapt.
Yeah, or risk getting left behind.
Exactly. It's like a whole new era of AI is beginning.
It sounds like it sounds like we're at a really important turning point in the evolution of AI. DeepSeek's focus on efficiency isn't just about, making money for themselves. It's about making AI more accessible and democratizing access to these transformative technologies.
Exactly. And that kind of brings us back to the question of what all this means for the average person.
Right. Like, how will this impact someone who's not, a data scientist?
Yeah.
Or an AI engineer?
Exactly. How does all this translate to real-world benefits to people outside the tech bubble?
Yeah, we've talked about, potential industry shakeups, theoretical profit.
Yeah, but how does this actually affect people's lives?
Well, as we touched upon earlier, more efficient AI could lead to lower costs for all sorts of products and services. AI writing assistants, language translation tools, things like that could become much more affordable and accessible to everyone.
So those cost savings could have a real tangible impact on people's daily life.
Absolutely. Making things easier, opening up new possibilities.
What other benefits might we see?
Increased efficiency could also fuel a surge of innovation. Leading to all sorts of new AI applications that we haven't even thought of yet.
It's amazing to think about the possibilities.
It is.
It's not just about making AI cheaper.
Right.
It's about unlocking its potential to benefit society as a whole.
Exactly. And that's why DeepSeek's story is so compelling. They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah.
Not just with the technology itself,
but also with the broader impact AI can have on the world.
This has been a really interesting conversation.
It has.
Before we wrap up, though, I have to ask, we've talked about all the potential benefits of this push for efficiency in AI.
Right. Lower costs, new applications, wider access, all that good stuff.
But what about the other side of the coin?
Yeah, what about the downsides?
Are there any potential risks we should be thinking about?
That's an important question.
Okay.
And one that we definitely shouldn't ignore as AI becomes more and more integrated into our lives.
Yeah.
It's important to consider the potential challenges and any unintended consequences that might pop up.
What are some of those potential downsides?
Well, one area that a lot of people are concerned about is job displacement.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
As AI systems become more capable, they could start automating tasks that are currently being done by humans, which could lead to job losses in certain sectors.
That's definitely a valid concern.
Yeah.
And one that policymakers and industry leaders need to address.
Sure.
Like, we need to think about how we can manage these workforce transitions and make sure that people have the skills they need to adapt.
Absolutely. And another challenge is that AI could potentially worsen existing social inequalities.
Okay, how so?
Well, if access to these powerful tools isn't distributed fairly, it could end up widening the gap between those who benefit from AI and those who are left behind.
So it's not just about making AI accessible.
Right.
It's about making sure that access is equitable.
Exactly. Everyone should have the opportunity to participate in this technological revolution.
And then there are those broader societal questions to consider.
Right, like what happens when AI becomes so embedded in our lives that it starts to influence our decisions, our values, even our sense of who we are.
It sounds like we're heading into some uncharted territory here, or with some incredible opportunities, but also some potential pitfalls.
For sure.
So it's really important to have these conversations now.
Absolutely.
To anticipate the challenges and figure out how to guide the development of AI in a responsible way.
I agree. We need to be mindful of both the promises and the potential dangers of AI and approach this whole thing with a healthy mix of optimism and caution.
That's a great way to put it.
It's a powerful tool that has the potential to completely reshape our world.
Right.
And it's up to us to make sure that we shape that future responsibly.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
Thanks.
You know, we've explored the technical side of DeepSeek's approach, the potential economic and societal impacts, and some of the broader questions about the role of AI in our future.
Big questions.
Big questions. If you had to sum it all up,
Yeah.
what would you say is the key takeaway for our listeners today?
I would say the key takeaway is that AI is changing rapidly, and its impact on our lives is only going to get bigger in the years to come. It's important to stay informed, to participate in these conversations, and to think critically about both the opportunities and the challenges that AI presents.
Well said. And as for DeepSeek and their ambitious goals, it's clear that they're pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI.
They are.
And their focus on efficiency could have huge implications for the whole industry.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see what happens next.
Yeah, how their story unfolds and how other companies respond.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your expertise.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another deep dive.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
We hope you found this one informative and thought-provoking.
Yeah, definitely.
Stay curious, stay engaged.
And we'll see you next time.
For another deep dive into a topic that's shaping our world.